Ex-WWE staff shoot on Vince McMahon. A controversial Bloodline family member looking to come into WWE. AEW's new Anti-WWE rule. And more. I'm Ollie Davis, and this is the WrestleTalk News.
Support WrestleTalk!
Get exclusive bonus videos over at patreon.com/WrestleTalk. I don't know about you, but since the Mr. McMahon docuseries came out on Netflix last month, I get someone I know who isn't a wrestling fan asking me on an almost daily basis, "Oh my god, and did you know about this thing?" And I go, yeah, the Ring Boy scandal was reported on decades ago. Or yeah, Rita Chatterton and the massage parlor sexual assault allegations were public for ages. Or yeah, I watched him get off with Trish Stratus in front of his kayfabe comatose wife. That one was an excellent storyline. What I'm trying to say is that it feels like everyone I know who doesn't follow wrestling has just learned all the awful things about WWE and Vince McMahon all at the same time. And with such a large platform like Netflix, it's turned the story into one mainstream media outlets will now focus on. The latest development isn't from the federal investigation into McMahon, nor any new moves from his accuser Janelle Grant. It's from Rolling Stone magazine, who have interviewed 6 former WWE writers, 5 of whom chose to remain anonymous, about their time working for the promotion under Vince. They regularly witnessed or were on the receiving end of verbal abuse. The allegedly hostile conditions permeated not just the writer's room, but the company in general, they say. Whether at the corporate headquarters in Stamford, Connecticut, or when the organization's TV shows filmed on the road. The former writers say staffers seem to be divided into 2 camps. Those who were WWE loyalists and only had experience working at Mr. McMahon's company, and newcomers with outside experience in the entertainment industry, who immediately realized the WWE was unlike any other workplace they'd seen. WWE is a kingdom ruled by fear, one former writer tells Rolling Stone. It is the motivating factor everywhere. Fear. Michael Leonardi was the only writer who agreed to be named in the article, who worked at WWE for 10 months, finishing in 2016. Despite getting both a promotion and a raise during that time, which is usually a sign you're doing well at your job, a sudden blow-up with Vince led him to being fired a week later. Apparently, Leonardi made a last-minute minor change to a TV script because he and other wrestlers thought it was racially insensitive. Leonardi spoke about this incident earlier this year, when he revealed it to be a segment where Adrian Neville, now Pac in AEW, would recite Martin Luther King's "I Have a Dream" speech, and his dream was to win the Royal Rumble. Apparently, Neville himself told Leonardi he couldn't say it, and Titus O'Neil, R-Truth, and Mark Henry were also uncomfortable. The line was given to Truth instead, who played it up as comedy. Vince turned to me and he said, "So you didn't give me what I wanted?" And then he started just yelling at me. It was such an intense moment, I walked out with my tail between my legs. Vince's spokesperson has denied that he ever suggested or approved the Martin Luther King joke. Leonardi had actually worked for WWE before as an associate producer from 2001 to 2005, but he quit following another insensitive storyline, where Muhammad Hassan beat The Undertaker with the help of 5 men dressed in ski masks, black shirts, and camo pants, leaning into the tension around Islamic terrorism at the time. That pre-taped episode of SmackDown ended up airing on July 7th, 2005, the same day as the London bombings. Leonardi was demoted after telling his superiors he was uncomfortable with it before the broadcast, so he quit. The other former staff members, who were experienced in other TV writing rooms, told Rolling Stone WWE was highly unusual, like how Vince, the CEO of the company, would join and supervise the writing sessions. There was also a formal dress code. The company required men to wear suits and women to wear skirts, dresses, or pantsuits. In addition, all employees were instructed to keep their shoes shined at all times. Staff were also told to behave in a certain way around McMahon, which likely reinforced the culture of fear and subservience around him. The writers allege they were told not to sneeze in front of McMahon because he saw it as a sign of weakness, and to always push their chairs in when they get up from a table. The writers say they were also instructed to stand whenever McMahon walked into the room, and to sit down only after he took his own seat. Vince's spokesperson denied this too. Rolling Stone admit their sources never said Vince told them to stand to attention when he entered. their managers did. The writers claimed they would often have to wait for McMahon to show up for meetings for hours, with meetings not starting until midnight and sometimes finishing as late as 4 in the morning. But what about the actual writing process? Collaboratively throwing ideas around, actually booking a wrestling promotion. At least that bit was creatively rewarding. Right? Turns out no. Writers would pitch story ideas to lower-level supervisors and head writers and, on days McMahon was in the room, directly to him. They would sometimes produce multiple versions of scripts, but ultimately they say McMahon changed storylines, even ones he'd previously approved, and entire scripts on the day of the taping. He destroyed everything by the time we got to air, seemingly just to exert his dominance, one former writer says. The writer adds that there was something about McMahon's changing directives that felt almost sadistic. I think Vince enjoyed the manipulation. He liked changing things. He liked keeping people on their toes. I genuinely felt like this isn't to benefit the show or the storyline. Vince really just enjoys making people squirm. And just like bullies on a playground, this behaviour was mimicked by those wanting to gain favour with their alpha personality. Other writers in the room who were in positions of power could be bullies, motivated by fear of upsetting McMahon and losing their jobs. I couldn't understand what the hell was going on because nobody made eye contact, nobody talked to you. It was so odd, another former writer says. Everybody's scared and the only laughs are at someone else's expense. Everyone is emotionally shut down because of the verbal beating that they take and the humiliation. That's what the room is like with a bad leader. Female writers face different challenges in the room, with one describing how people would comment on her outfits and touch her unnecessarily. They would touch me where they would have me come closer to them. They would pull me by my waist to come somewhere or move closer to them. I'm just super aware that it's kind of close to my butt, and most people don't touch me by the waist ever. I thought, this is strange. 2 of the former writers took their complaints to HR, where one was subsequently fired, which they interpreted as retaliation. While none of the writers spoken to had any direct knowledge of the sexual assault and trafficking allegations against McMahon, they said they weren't surprised, as rumours floated around the office about Vince and other women who worked in the company. I heard some of the other writers joking like, yeah, there's some women that work in this company that nobody knows what they do. Vince resigned from the company in January, following Grant's lawsuit, but some of the writers don't think it will change WWE behind the scenes. There are a lot of people complicit in continuing this culture. I am highly doubtful it's changed even with Triple H in charge. I just don't think it really can. WWE have not commented on the story, but a representative for McMahon replied to Rolling Stone. Scores of writers could share tales of what an enjoyable, creative, and freewheeling environment the WWE writers' rooms were. This handful of obviously disgruntled individuals aren't representative in any way of the consensus or of the truth. Let's talk about something a little less controversial now. No, Jesus Christ, not that! Zilla Fatu, thank you. That's the right kind of fun wrestling controversy. The 25-year-old Zilla is the son of Umaga, and thus another cousin of Jacob Fatu, Solo Sikoa, and the Usos, and just over a year in, has already had quite the pro wrestling career. Debuting for Booker T's Reality of Wrestling promotion in July 2023, he managed to fall out with Booker and leave 3 months later. He started appearing for GCW back in April, but no-showed an event over a reported pay disagreement in September. GCW booker Brett Lauderdale then posted the following, which may or may not be in relation to that. Wrestlers with under 40 matches in their career should still be setting up rings, not demanding flights and hotels for their management and entourage. Young wrestlers, your reputation is everything. Be wise about who you surround yourself with. One chance to make a first impression. While Lauderdale and Booker T's loss is Booker T's gain again. Zilla has started working back at Reality of Wrestling, where Booker has revealed he's working to get him with his Bloodline family in WWE. Has he made some mistakes? Of course, we all make mistakes, but I'm definitely going to try to get him all the way to the WWE and beyond, just because he's family. And the perfect way to get Zilla on WWE's radar? Have him wrestle at an AEW show. AEW and New Japan weren't the only promotions in June's Forbidden Door. This year also included the oldest still running wrestling company in the world, Mexico's CMLL. which created the matchup of AEW's TBS champion Mercedes Moné against CMLL star and New Japan Strong Women's champion Stephanie Vaquer. Vaquer got over big in both the build and the match itself on the 29th of June. So big, in fact, that 11 days later, WWE announced that she had officially signed with NXT, making her live WWE show debut in Mexico City just 2 days later. It would take another 3 months for her to fully debut on NXT TV, implying all that was a rush job to annoy AEW and their Mexican partner promotion CMLL. Vaquer reportedly chose not to lose on the way out, meaning the CMLL World Women's and Tag Team titles she held just had to be vacated. Fightful Select is reporting that the speed all of this went down surprised many in AEW, and they're using it as a learning point for the future. People in both AEW and New Japan believe that any talent that work Forbidden Door or other co-promoted AEW shows will now have to agree to not immediately go to WWE afterwards. That hasn't been confirmed in the company, and it could provide some complicated fuel to the employee versus independent contractor lawsuit AEW is currently fighting against Kevin Kelly and the Boys, which sounds like an early 90s pop group. The next big WWE PLE is Crown Jewel. You can watch mine and Luke's 3-count predictions for it right now. Here's a clip.
I feel so strongly that WWE will not book Roman to lose.
No, and so do I. But if this storyline is ever going to mean anything, I think they do need to make this bloodline look credible. And pinning Jimmy Uso doesn't do that.
We're saying the same thing, but you've gone for your heart, you maniac. What do you? I want to put a bet on this.
Okay.
What do you want to do?
10 quid?
10 quid.